Welcome to Threads of Truth, the podcast where real-life mysteries meet internet speculation. Today we ask, how does a young woman vanish from her own home with only a shadowy figure left behind? We're taking a deep dive into the really baffling disappearance of Jennifer Kesse. It's a case that has, stumped investigators for years, and it's absolutely captivated online communities for almost 2 decades now. Just try to picture it. A vibrant 24-year-old finance manager, really starting her independent life. She just bought her own condo in Orlando, Florida. She was last heard from on January 23rd, 2006. She'd just gotten back from a nice vacation. But the very next morning, everything just changed. She didn't show up for work. And this wasn't like her at all. It was so uncharacteristic that it immediately set off alarms for her employer and crucially for her family.
Right. That break from her routine, her very responsible nature, that was the first sign. Her family knew. Instinctively, this wasn't Jennifer just taking a day off. That gut feeling they had proved chillingly accurate. And it's something you see often, the intuition of the people closest. Sometimes it's the first real indicator something is seriously wrong.
That intuition was definitely spot on here.
Yeah.
So after those initial alarms went off, what was the first sort of solid clue, the first tangible thing that came up?
Well, the first major development didn't happen immediately. It took 2 days. On January 26th, Jennifer's car, her black 2004 Chevy Malibu, was found. It was abandoned about 1.2 miles from her condo, parked at a different apartment complex nearby.
Okay, finding the car is huge. But this is where it gets really strange, isn't it? The surveillance footage?
Exactly, because surveillance cameras at that complex caught someone parking her car. This was around noon on January 24th, the day she actually vanished. So this footage gives us a timestamp, a crucial piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
But it also became maybe the most frustrating piece of evidence in the whole case.
Right. So the big questions we're tackling today as we look at the facts and all the online speculation. Where did Jennifer go? Who is that person on the camera, the one whose face you just can't see? And why, nearly 20 years later, even with some recent updates, why is this still such a profound mystery? Let's start by setting the scene, looking at Jennifer's life before that morning. Okay, so before we dive into all the theories online, which, let's face it, can get pretty wild sometimes, I think we really need to lay out the groundwork, the facts, the timeline of Jennifer's disappearance. What do we absolutely need to know about her life leading up to January 24th, 2006?
Okay, yeah. Jennifer Joyce Kesse. Born May 20, 1981. So she was just 24 when she disappeared. Bright young woman. Graduated high school in Tampa, then University of Central Florida in 2003. Finance degree. She wasn't just working, she had a career. Finance manager at Central Florida Investments timeshare company in Ocoee. And importantly, she just bought her own condo in Orlando.
Right.
This shows, she was independent, stable, building a future, not someone likely to just walk away.
That condo purchase really does say a lot, doesn't it? Independence, putting down roots. And the weekend right before she vanished, she was on vacation with her boyfriend, right? In the U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Croix.
Correct. St. Croix.
So all signs pointed to, pretty happy and stable personal life. No obvious red flags, nothing suggesting she wanted to disappear or anything like that.
Precisely. Nothing at all. Her return from vacation is key to the timeline. She got back Sunday, January 22nd, stayed at her boyfriend's place that night. Then Monday, the 23rd, she drove straight from his place to work, normal day. Left work around 6 p.m., spoke with her father while driving home about 6:15 p.m. And this was, interestingly, the first time she'd actually been back to her own condo since leaving for that vacation.
Okay, so just settling back into her routine in her new place.
Right. Settling back in.
So after what sounds like a completely typical Monday for Jennifer, what was the very last interaction anyone had with her before? Well, before everything went silent the next day, what was that last call like?
The last known contact was just a normal phone call with her boyfriend. Around 10 p.m. Monday night, January 23rd. They just exchanged good nights, a totally routine, everyday kind of call between a couple. Nothing unusual reported.
And it's the sheer normalcy of that call that makes what happened next so terrifying.
Right.
Right? It sets the stage for the alarm bells the next morning.
Exactly, because Tuesday morning, January 24th, that routine, which was so solid just hours before, it just shattered.
Yeah. She usually texted or called her boyfriend before leaving for work.
Yeah.
Like every morning, a little check-in.
Mm-hmm.
But that Tuesday, nothing. He tried calling her and it went straight to voicemail. Which he said was immediately weird for her, that first little red flag.
And you can sort of trace how the worry grew. By 8 or 9 a.m., he'd tried calling her multiple times. Still no answer, just voicemail. His unease is building. Then her work, they were alarmed because she was in no call, no show, which was completely out of character. They contacted her parents by 11 a.m.
Wow. So within just a few hours, you have her boyfriend worried, her employer worried, and now her parents know something's wrong. Multiple people, all feeling that dread independently.
Yeah. Imagine that drive for her parents. 2 hours from Tampa to Orlando. Just agonizing, knowing your daughter, who is always so responsible, just wasn't reachable. They did call ahead, asked her condo manager to use a spare key to check her unit.
And what did the manager find?
The manager reported back that everything inside looked normal, seemed untouched, but her car was gone, not its usual spot outside. That was the first really chilling piece of concrete information.
So the parents arrive, her brother too, around 3:15 p.m. that same day, the 24th. What did they find inside the condo? Did it offer any more clues?
It offered unsettling clues, yeah. They found evidence that Jennifer had been home that morning, and it looked like she was getting ready for work. There was a wet towel in the bathroom, clothes laid out on the bed, so she was definitely there, started her day.
But no sign of a struggle.
No. That was the really chilling part. No signs of forced entry, no obvious struggle. Nothing looked disturbed inside the condo. It was almost like she just vanished mid-routine or was somehow forced to leave without a fight.
That lack of forced entry, that's always a huge point in these cases, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really narrows things down, potentially. Suggests maybe someone she knew, or someone who tricked their way in, or caught her just as she was locking up to leave.
Precisely. It opens up those possibilities. And adding to the mystery was what was missing. Her cell phone, her iPod, her keys, her purse, her briefcase, even the outfit she was likely wearing. All gone.
Taken with her.
Taken with her, yeah. Which strongly suggests it wasn't just her leaving. It could have been to prevent her from calling for help, or maybe, more ominously, to get rid of potential evidence. Her phone. They tried pinging it, but no luck. Never successfully pinged, meaning it was probably turned off almost immediately.
And her bank accounts? Any activity?
Nothing. No activity on her bank card after she disappeared. The only thing was a direct deposit from her employer that went in on January 25th, the day after she vanished. But she never accessed it.
So the missing items, the phone off, no bank activity, it all points away from her leaving voluntarily, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It strongly reinforces that something happened to her.
Okay, so fast forward 2 days to January 26th. Her car is found. A breakthrough, you'd think, but it just seemed to deepen the mystery, right? Because finding the car led directly to that infamous surveillance footage.
It really did. So 8:10 a.m. on the 26th, a tenant at another apartment complex about 1.2 miles away recognizes Jennifer's car from the news reports. Says it had been sitting there abandoned for a couple of days. Police confirm, yes, it's her black 2004 Chevy Malibu, and finding the car's location is often crucial. Where it was left, how it was left.
And in this case, it led them to cameras.
Exactly. Hidden surveillance cameras at that complex. And they captured someone parking Jennifer's car there. The timestamp was around noon on January 24th, the day she went missing. They had their person of interest.
Okay, this footage, this is probably the single most discussed piece of evidence in the entire case.
Yeah.
Why is it so maddening? What does it actually show or not show?
Oh, it's incredibly frustrating. The camera setup there wasn't like continuous video. It took still photos, like snapshots, once every 3 seconds. And in every single shot they have of this person getting out of the car and walking away, their face is blocked, perfectly obscured by the posts of the apartment complex's fence. Every single frame.
You're kidding. Every frame.
Every frame. It's like you're so close to seeing who it is, but the fence is just perfectly positioned to hide their face. It's why that journalist called the suspect the luckiest person of interest ever.
Wow. That's unbelievable luck for them. Terrible luck for the investigation.
It really is. You have the act, you have the time, you have the car, but the identity is just hidden behind a fence post. It forces investigators to rely so much more heavily on everything else, all the circumstantial stuff.
But they didn't just give up on the footage, right? Even with the face blocked, they tried to analyze it. FBI, even NASA got involved.
Oh, absolutely. They threw everything at it. The FBI came in, used their expertise. They managed to estimate the person's height somewhere between 5'3" and 5'5", which is, relatively short. And yes, even NASA was brought in. They used their advanced image enhancement technology trying to pull any detail out of those grainy images. Still unidentified. There were just no clear distinguishing features visible. Couldn't tell gender definitively. Couldn't see clothing details clearly. Nothing concrete. And maybe the most frustrating part, they showed the footage to Jennifer's family, her friends. Nobody recognized the person's build or way of walking. Total mystery.
So, okay. No forced entry at the condo. Car found wiped down, this mysterious figure parking it. How did investigators initially try to piece this together? What was their first theory about what happened?
Well, initially, with no struggle at the condo, the police leaned towards the idea that Jennifer was abducted outside, probably as she was walking from her front door to her car, maybe locking her door, turning around, boom. That seemed to fit the clean scene inside.
Okay, that makes sense. But then their thinking shifted.
Yeah, later on, they started considering a different possibility, that maybe she did leave her condo complex successfully, got in her car, started driving to work, and was abducted somewhere along the route.
Ah, why the shift?
It's hard to say exactly what prompted it without being in the investigation room, but it could have been timing elements, maybe rethinking how secure the walk to her car was versus the drive itself.
This revised theory, though, it really widened the potential crime scene, didn't it?
Oh, massively. Instead of focusing just on her doorstep, now you're looking at miles of potential road. A much harder scenario to investigate. Much harder. Exponentially so.
In the forensic examination of the car itself, you mentioned it seems wiped down.
Extremely clean, forensically speaking. They found very little. Just one latent print that's like a hidden fingerprint, needs processing to be seen, and one tiny DNA fiber. That's it. To investigators, that screamed wiped down. A deliberate effort to remove evidence.
And the fact that valuables were left inside the car, what did that suggest?
Yeah, things like her briefcase, maybe other items were still there. It strongly implied that robbery wasn't the motive. This wasn't a carjacking gone wrong or someone just looking for cash. It pointed towards something else, something more personal maybe, or specifically targeted at Jennifer.
There was also something about search dogs, right? They tracked a scent from the car.
Yes, that's another intriguing piece. A search dog tracked a scent from where Jennifer's car was abandoned back towards her own apartment complex's parking lot.
Back towards her home. What did that suggest?
It suggested the person who parked the car might have walked back towards Jennifer's condo complex afterwards. Maybe they lived nearby or worked nearby, or perhaps they were returning to the scene for some reason.
Did that lead anywhere? Any evidence found along that route?
Frustratingly, no. Despite that intriguing scent trail, no other conclusive evidence was found along that path. Another promising lead that just fizzled out. It's a pattern in this case.
And the initial search efforts by police, family, friends, they were massive. Right?
Absolutely monumental. The Orlando Police Department coordinated huge searches, people on foot, on horseback, using boats, helicopters, cars, ATVs, you name it. Friends and family were relentless, plastering the area with flyers. Just an incredible outpouring of effort and desperation.
Despite all that, nothing.
Heartbreakingly, nothing concrete turned up from those initial massive searches. No direct clues to where Jennifer was.
So for more than 10 years, the case essentially went cold. No major leads, no arrests, just silence. But then in 2019, something pretty unusual happened with the case files.
Extremely unusual. After years of the investigation being stalled, what investigators term cold, the Kesse family reached a settlement with the Orlando Police Department. And as part of that, in 2019, the entire case file, everything the police had gathered, was turned over to the family.
Wow. The family got the files. That's almost unheard of.
It's incredibly rare. It essentially put them and their private investigator in charge of driving the investigation forward. A massive responsibility, but also a massive opportunity for a fresh perspective.
And they've really run with it, haven't they? They haven't let this go cold in the public eye.
Not for a second. They've been absolutely relentless. Working with their PI, they've been meticulously reviewing every document, every lead, every dead end in those files. They've kept Jennifer's story alive, constantly pushing for answers, refusing to let her be forgotten. They've become, in essence, incredibly dedicated citizen detectives.
And their dedication seems to be yielding results, finally.
Mm-hmm.
There was some recent news.
Yes, very recent and very hopeful. As of May 2025, reports surfaced that the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the FDLE, has apparently received new information. enough that they are saying the case is no longer considered cold.
That's huge after almost 20 years.
It's a massive development. It's reignited hope for everyone involved that maybe finally a breakthrough is on the horizon. It really speaks to the power of the family's persistence.
Okay, now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the other side of this, the internet. The Jennifer Kesse case has become this huge focus for online sleuths, hasn't it? Reddit, web sleuths, YouTube. They've been dissecting this for years.
Oh, absolutely. It's a classic example of a case that captures the online true crime community's imagination. And one of the biggest, most persistent theories you see online is the construction worker theory. Remember, her condo complex was undergoing major renovations when she disappeared. So there were lots of transient workers, day laborers coming and going all the time, unfamiliar faces.
And there were reports, weren't there, from family or neighbors that some of these workers had. Well, notice Jennifer. Maybe made her uncomfortable.
Exactly. Reports suggested some workers had shown inappropriate interest, maybe catcalled her, or just made her uneasy. That personal detail makes the theory feel more plausible to many online. So the theory goes, maybe one of these workers, someone who felt ignored or rejected or just had a bad interaction, abducted her, perhaps as she was leaving for work that morning.
And the obscured face in the video online, they connect that too.
They do. Some speculate the obscured face was intentional. The worker knew there were cameras and deliberately hid. Others think it was just dumb luck for the perp. But the sheer number of workers provides a pool of potential suspects who had access and opportunity, at least in theory. Derek Levasseur, who's covered this case, explored this angle too.
And that surveillance video itself, the obsession online is incredible. People analyzing every single pixel, it seems.
It's intense. You find YouTube videos and Reddit threads dedicated to frame-by-frame breakdowns. They're doing gait analysis, trying to figure out how the person walks, their stride, posture.
Trying to see if it matches anyone or reveals anything about them.
Exactly. Trying to determine gender, maybe even ethnicity if possible, comparing the walk to known individuals. They scrutinize the height estimates, often landing right around that FBI range of 5'3" to 5'5". One thing people often point out online is how the person seems to park the car and walk away somewhat calmly, almost like they know the area, not panicked, which fuels the idea it might be someone familiar with that complex, not a total stranger just dumping the car randomly.
So beyond the who, online communities also debate the how and when. The exact abduction scenario, what are the main ones they discuss?
Well, there are a few main camps. The initial theory, abducted right outside her door, walking to her car. Quick, sudden. Then there's a theory based on the lack of forced entry. Abducted from inside her apartment. Maybe someone she knew let in or someone tricked their way in. The wet towel, the clothes laid out, suggest she was still inside when things went wrong.
Right, interrupted mid-routine.
Exactly. And then there's the later police theory, which some online sleuths also support. She left her complex successfully, got in a car, and was abducted en route to work. Maybe stopped at a light, maybe forced off the road. This opens up a wider time frame and location.
There's also a much darker theory that sometimes surfaces online, right? The sex trafficking idea.
Yeah, that one comes up, unfortunately, in many cases like this where someone vanishes without a clear trace or motive. Proponents point to how efficient it seemed. The clean condo, the wiped-down car. Orlando's proximity to major highways, sadly, makes it a known area for trafficking concerns. So some speculate it could have been a rapid professional abduction for that purpose.
Is there much evidence for that, specifically in Jennifer's case?
Less direct evidence compared to, say, the construction worker angle. It's more speculative, based on the modus operandi, the clean scene, the quick disappearance. But it remains a recurring point of discussion in online forums, a chilling possibility they consider.
What about other ideas, like a random stalker? Or just a random act of violence?
The stalker theory gets discussed. Maybe someone she didn't even know was watching her. But there's no evidence she had a known stalker, which makes it harder to substantiate. A purely random, opportunistic abduction is possible, of course. But the apparent calculation wiping the car, moving it, makes some people lean away from pure randomness towards something more planned, even if the initial encounter was opportunistic.
And the idea she just left on her own, that seems universally rejected.
Completely, by everyone involved, family, investigators, online communities. There's just zero evidence for it. Everything about her life, financially stable, happy relationship, new condo, future plans, points away from voluntary disappearance. It just doesn't doesn't fit the facts of who Jennifer Kesse was.
Okay, so let's try to pull all these threads together. We've got the facts, the timeline, the frustrating lack of evidence, the compelling footage, the family's fight, the online speculation. As you look at the whole picture, what really stands out to you?
I think what stands out most is that connection between the lack of forced entry and the cleaned up car. It strongly suggests, or at least points towards, someone who either knew Jennifer, knew her routine, had some sort of access to the complex, or was just incredibly careful and methodical. The most plausible theories all seem to hinge on some level of familiarity or premeditation rather than pure random chance. But the frustrating part is the lack of definitive proof for any specific scenario. It's a case built on inferences and possibilities, not hard evidence.
And that's surveillance footage. It's just so hauntingly effective in its ineffectiveness, isn't it? Capturing the moment but hiding the crucial detail. It perfectly encapsulates the whole frustrating nature of this case. It's the best clue and the worst clue, all at once.
It really is the ultimate paradox of the case. The luckiest person of interest, that obscured face, whether it was intentional planning or just sheer coincidence with the fence post. It fundamentally crippled the visual identification aspect of the investigation. It forced everyone, police, FBI, NASA, online sleuths, into these deep dives on gait, posture, height, trying to pull something from the shadows. It shows how even with cameras everywhere, one unlucky angle, one obstruction can create an impenetrable wall for investigators.
It also makes you think about those critical first 48 hours. We know police sometimes initially treat missing adults differently, maybe assuming they left voluntarily for a bit. How might that initial approach have impacted things here? Could crucial time have been lost?
It's always a critical question. In any missing persons case, those first hours are vital. Evidence disappears, memories fade. If there was any delay in treating it as a potential abduction versus a voluntary absence, and that's always a tough judgment call with adults initially, then yes, valuable time and potential leads could have been lost. It's a systemic challenge, really, balancing privacy and autonomy with the urgent need to investigate when something is truly wrong. Jennifer's case underscores how critical that initial assessment and rapid response can be.
But amidst the frustration, you have to acknowledge the positive contribution of the online community, right? They haven't solved it, obviously, but they've kept the case alive, dug into details.
Absolutely. The level of collective intelligence and dedication is remarkable. People building detailed timelines, analyzing gates, cross-referencing information. It serves as this massive, decentralized analytical engine. They keep public awareness high, which can generate new tips. They push investigators to re-examine angles. While you have to be careful about misinformation, the sheer energy and scrutiny can be a powerful force in keeping cold cases from being completely forgotten. They spot things, they ask questions, they demand attention.
And above all, the family. Their relentless pursuit, especially after getting the case files. It's just incredible. Their impact is undeniable, especially with this recent news about the case no longer being cold.
It's profoundly significant. When official investigations stall, families sometimes step into that void with unmatched passion and dedication. They become experts on the case, advocates, investigators. The Kesse family's fight shows the immense power of that familial love and determination. It's kept Jennifer's story relevant, pressured for answers, and likely played a direct role in any new information coming to light. It's a testament to never giving up hope.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what should you, the listener, take away from this? Think about the vulnerability it highlights. Jennifer vanished from her own home, the place you're supposed to feel safest. All that's left is this fleeting, obscured image of someone. Her disappearance forces us to confront how, even now, with cameras and technology, true anonymity is possible. And it makes you wonder, what does it really take to make someone vanish without a trace? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the disappearance of Jennifer Kesse. Her story is truly a haunting mystery, but the incredible persistence of her family and the engagement of the online community means the push for answers continues.
Cases like Jennifer's, they really underscore the complexities investigators face, but also the undeniable power of people coming together demanding justice even after so many years.
If you have any thoughts, any insights, maybe a theory about this case, please share them online. Engage with the communities discussing it. Your voice could matter. And for our next deep dive, next time on Threads of Truth, we examine the chilling final moments of Brandon Swanson. He was a college student who called his parents from a rural ditch back in 2008, then vanished mid-call after saying, "Oh, Sans, what happened in those last seconds?" And why has no trace ever been found?